Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm Kevin Powell. I love talking to bands. It's one of my favorite things to do. I've been really busy. Just finished up wrapping up recording songs for a new EP. Got 2 music videos coming out in March. Well, we're recording them in March and we're going from there. Just shot pictures for the band Beartooth and Applauding You and others in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So I've been on the move. I have been busy. But you know what? Never too busy to sit down and talk to some bands. One of my favorite things to do. Got a band from the United Kingdom with me right now. We have the lead guitarist from the band, Devastator, Amun. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, buddy. It's 9 p.m. here, so it's kind of late in the night, but fine. I'm always awake at this time, so yeah, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. 9 p.m. is a little late for me. I got back at like midnight last night just from doing all these photos, but it's a lot of fun anyways. So you got some stuff coming up, but I want to know who all is in Devastator, who couldn't be joining us today. Where's everybody from?
So I'll use our real names just because I can't remember all of our
That's okay.
And so you've got Tom Collins on bass guitar and lead vocals. You've got myself on lead guitar. You've got Chris Whitehurst on rhythm guitar, and you've got Jack Scarlett on drums. And we're all from Derby in the United Kingdom, which is basically, if you look on a map, we're in the middle.
Very nice. First band to talk to from the United Kingdom. So thank you so much for allowing me to, have a chance to talk to you. Do appreciate it. I like talking to bands from all over, and I love metal and I love rock. So it's one of my go-to things. So you just had a song that came out called Ritual Abuse. Awesome song, by the way.
Thank you.
How did we get from, how long have you been in the band?
So I'm one of the founding members. The band was formed by me and Jack, the drummer. And then we recruited Tom in because it was kind of like we was all doing separate things in the time, and Devastator was kind of a side band kind of thing. But all of our side projects basically crashed and burned, and we were like, well, we'll just take this on then. It was originally a 3-piece, like Motorhead, which is, our biggest influence. But with us wanting to do like more guitar harmonies and like tackle that live, we got Chris in. And yeah, that's basically how it happened. We've been going for about 5-6 years now, I think, just like solidly. Well, I would say solidly touring, but like we had those 2 years of COVID where nothing happened.
No one toured.
yeah, no one did anything. So yeah, we've been a band technically for 6 years, but we've been touring and playing shows about 4, maybe.
Nice. So you guys have been around for a little bit, and that's perfectly fine. You got a new album coming out March 1st. Conjurers of Cruelty. I want to know, what was the writing process like for this? There's a lot of different ways to go about writing music nowadays. So what was your process like?
With us, because there's like, what now, a 4-year gap between this album and Baptized, we had a lot more time to really write. And like when we wrote a song, we could let it sit and then we could come back to it. And if we didn't like stuff, we could chop and change things. And really, like, we had time to really flesh out songs and not rush them like we felt like we did with Baptized, because obviously we released that literally like a week or 2 before the whole pandemic happened. So we didn't get to experiment at all with that album. It was just kind of like bare bones. And a lot of people liked it. But with this one, we was kind of like, right, we can really incorporate other styles and other influences that we all have.
So some bands write on their own at home, and then they come together in the studio and then they record. Some bands get together in the studio and straight up write the whole thing together right then and there. So what was the recording process like? Did it tie in with the writing process? Was it a little bit separate? Anything at all?
Not really. So we didn't do like a midnight type thing where they go in and they record and write at the same time, basically.
Okay.
All of our songs were kind of there. They were sort of about 80% there, I would say, in terms of like being what they turned out on the record. So most of the songs we write sort of at home, and then we'll bring it to the band and say, here's what I've got. What else can we do with this sort of thing? And that's where we'll go into like the rehearsal studio and we'll chop and change things and mess things around. And then that'll become the final song. But with the studio, we got to really add things more sonically that, you know, we can't really do live, but on the album we can. So we added sort of like octave things and background stuff, you know, more atmospheric stuff to like add to the album, really.
And you guys went to an actual studio with a producer?
Yes.
What was the role? How much of a hand did the producer have with this album?
Ben, who works at the God Hand, which is the studio we went with, he's been a good friend of ours for years and years and years. And he's a drummer, like personally, so he had a lot to do with the drum sound, and he even gave Jack a few sort of like variations that he could do on certain bits. Like if he thought, you know, this bit kind of repeated like a bit too much, then he could do like an alteration.
Okay.
And because he's also like a diverse music guy, like he listens to everything, so kind of like how I personally do as well, he was able to go, okay, have you heard this from this band or something like that? Do you want to incorporate something like that in here? And that's where like a lot of the experimentation came from, because he was kind of like drip feeding us like little ideas, and we were just kind of like, okay, yeah, that could work. And, you know, some others get, you know, thrown aside and never see the light of day.
I like producers like that. Kind of a laid back, chill environment, just kind of a buddy thing. And, you know, let's try this. And then if it doesn't work, cool. If it does work, very cool. Some producers are like, all right, you got your part? Cool, do it. And I got it recorded and we're done. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's fine sometimes. And if the old heads out there want to yell at me, then go ahead. But I know there's different recording processes and different writing processes. So I like asking that question to see how other bands go about doing things. How about personal influences? I see, you know, we have an Exorcist shirt on. We got Star Wars behind me, got all kinds of stuff. What drove you to lead guitar? What bands really made you go, yep, this is it?
I'm influenced by a lot of stuff these days, but when I was younger, like I was more into like just solidly into metal and everything like that. So I suppose like the band that really got me into lead guitar playing was the band called Deathclock.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, they're my favorite band of all time. So that's out there. And because of like all the stacked harmonies they have and everything like that, like sonically, like that just really resonated with me. And I was like, I need to do that. And then sort of like going a bit further into my life, I got into like the 80s shred stuff. So people like Jason Becker, Mai Friedman, Yngwie Malmsteen, all that type of stuff. Paul Gilbert as well. You know, just people that like I'd listen to them and I'd sort of be like, I want to be able to do that. I don't want to pigeonhole myself into being like, you know, a pentatonic box player, which isn't bad, but like I really want to push myself. And then nowadays I'm more of like a jazz person. I play a lot of jazz. So like that gives me a lot more harmonic range and like a lot more dexterity in my note choices. Like I don't have to stick to one scale for one chord, if that makes sense. Like one chord can have a million scales, but it's just what you want to choose at the time.
That's a very intelligent answer. Usually whenever I ask, you know, if you're a death metal fan, what kind of death metal do you like?
Yeah.
He's not expecting jazz.
Oh, really?
That's not a bad thing because, like you said, a lot of musicianship in there, a lot of different genres can help different genres depending on where you're at and what you're doing. So 2024 just started. We're still in January. March, got your album. What we got going on after that?
So we're basically treading our toes in Europe at the minute. So we're going over there, I think in March, maybe. I might have my dates wrong. So we're playing Germany, we're playing Holland, we're playing 2 shows in the Netherlands at the minute. And we're really just like dipping our toes in there because that's, for like a UK band, that's like the next step up, really. Because it's close to home, but it's still uncharted territory in a sense. Like, we're still hobbits going to Mordor, really. We don't know what's...
You explaining this to me is uncharted territory. I know nothing about the United Kingdom. So anything you want to tell me, I'm all in.
Oh, really? There's a lot to tell about the UK. So, yeah, for us, because Europe's close, like, I think if you was to take a plane ride there, it'd be sort of like a couple hours, maybe 2-3 hours to get over there. Like, same with ferrying it, really. Cheaper option for bands. But it's like, because if we was to travel to the United States, there's a common dialect. We all speak English. Whereas over in Europe, they speak everything, German, French.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. So it's going to be interesting doing that as well, because none of us are bilingual. So we're all going to be on our Translate app on our phones.
I was going to say, you got to have Google Translate or something ready to go.
Like, which way to the bathroom kind of thing. Like, it'd be interesting. And especially because a lot of us, like, I don't think many of us have been over to Europe before. I know I've personally been to Belgium, and that's it. And Belgium's sort of like past France. I think my drummer, Jack, may have been to Europe. Oh, no, wait, he has been to Europe a few times. I know he's been to Poland. But again, it's like, we've been there as tourists. We haven't been there as a working band, and we haven't had like camaraderie of like playing to an audience and then getting to see them afterwards and talk to them and, really connect with them. It's more just been us looking at, buildings and statues and going, oh, that's cool. Like,
which you'll still be able to do on your off time.
Yeah.
But connecting with fans like that, that's honestly one of the best feelings in the world.
Yeah.
Or just introducing yourself and just talking a little bit and like, all right, see you later. And just little conversations like that. I see some equipment behind you. I'm looking at a Kemper, a PV. What all do you like to use? What kind of guitars do you like to use and why? What kind of amps do you like to use and why?
We're Epiphone Gibson artists. So I use a Epiphone Explorer, which I've modded with Fishman Fluence pickups.
Is that because of Deathclaw?
Yes. That is 100% because of Deathclaw.
How do I know?
Chris uses a Les Paul Studio Standard, and it's just the two guitarists that Epiphone uses. Our bassist and vocalist, Tom, he uses Ibanez Destroyers. He's got a red one from the 80s, and he's got a black one from recent years, which he loves to use.
It's a classic either way.
Yeah. Just the big Explorer shape is just the best. And for live stuff, we use a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 700, because what I went into this band initially thinking is we've got to create a rig that is basically idiot-proof. So you can take it anywhere without worrying about extra charges and stuff like that. And the Power Stage is basically about yay big, I think. And it's stereo, so it can have two guitars in, which is perfect because it means you don't need to buy two of them. And it also saves on air travel and all that sort of stuff, because you can just put it in a suitcase, whereas you don't have to bang one of them into a...
Right.
But for the album, we use the PV for rhythms, and then I've got a Marshall JCM 2000, something like that, down there, and that was my lead tone, because of obviously the Yngwie Malmsteen type stuff. I love the lead tones. And yeah, I use as a pedal a MXR 5150, so I basically get that tone in a tiny little stomp box, and that's about it, really.
Nice. You guys using like in-ears or anything like that?
Yes, we do in the UK, but we found because we're going to Europe, we need to minimize our sort of like footprint in a sense.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because some of them can get pretty bulky.
Yeah, exactly. Like we've got so our rack in the UK is a 16U rack, and I think it's about yay big from me sat down, and it's got everything in it, and it's kind of like, I'm going to need to gut that in a minute and, just basically take the essentials. So over in Europe, it'll probably just be the amps and maybe the wireless units. But even then, that's a bit, we don't know about that yet.
Cross that bridge when you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
How about, so you guys have been around a while. Looks like you got a lot of experience under your belt. What kind of advice do you have for bands, maybe just starting out or trying to move on to the next level? You guys have endorsements, you have albums, looks like you're touring. So what advice would you give?
The biggest advice I can give for any sort of like new band is act like you're having fun on stage. You could be having the worst day ever. You know, your cat could have run away. Your goldfish could have given you the finger. I don't care. When you get on stage, people have paid to see you. And you've got to make sure that their money is worth seeing you for. You know, we've had horrible shows where we're all after it. We're all like, oh, that was terrible and all that sort of stuff. But on stage, you know, you take that out of the equation. You don't care about it. You've got to, in the end of the day, a performance is a performance. And if you look like you're not having fun, the audience isn't going to have fun.
Very well said. I can 100% agree with that because I have been to shows where it's like, man, you don't want to be here, huh? All right. I guess I'll go get a snack or something. Any final words you want to say to fans?
Thank you for supporting us all these years. Like, you know, we don't want to stop anytime soon, and we hope we'll see you along the way. We're always trying to give back to the fans, like, you know, from any sort of part of the world. You know, just thank you for everything, really.
Very well said. Richard, appreciate a minute of your time. I'm going to talk to you here in a minute off air, okay?
Yeah, that's cool, man.
That's Richard from Devastator. They have a song out right now. It's called Ritual Abuse. And March 1st, they have a brand new album coming out called Conjurers of Cruelty. Love that name because it's very metal. And they're a very metal band. Make sure you check out Devastator. Appreciate you checking out this episode of the podcast. Appreciate it as always. We'll see you guys next time.